What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. Rostermania is slow. I don't really know what to say. I mean, we had some updates yesterday, but I think things are going to continue to slow down at least for the next 24 to 48 hours. So I figured we'd do a video where I would ask the community for some takes, predictions on Rostermania, and I'll kind of evaluate those. So we got a lot of responses. I got like 67, like 70 replies on Twitter today. We're going to go through like the best 15 I kind of picked out a little bit randomly. Some I thought were pretty good. Let's take a look at those and see if people are spun on or I think people are a little bit faded. All right, first up, we have one from Jacob Hill of Deserto, a man who breaks many a transfer story these days, CDL story, what have you. He says whoever gets Drazah wins Rostermania. I do think that whoever gets Drazah is going to be in a good spot for next season, but I don't think that whoever gets him is necessarily going to win Rostermania. I think there are a lot of really good players out there that can make a bunch of teams really good. I think Drazah is probably one of, if not the best flex option that's out there. Outside of maybe Scrap, but I don't think whoever gets him is like a certified 100% lock going to win Rostermania, because I think there are a lot of different quality players out there that can make teams better. All right, next up we got Zach, and his is his prediction for FaZe. FaZe land Pred making their roster Cell as the main AR, Simp as the flex, and Abizi and Pred as the subs. I like this team. It would be really, really good. I think the Pred Sub duo is going to be great in pretty much every game mode. Simp as a flex should be good, but obviously that's a little bit of an unknown. I like the speed on this team. It would be a really good quality squad, and I see there's probably a chance of this team potentially happening during this Rostermania. All right, we got my guy Drew. Optic would be best off signing Pred and bringing back Dan Ghosty. Ooh, you know, I like the Pred signing. Obviously, there's a lot of people like, should they pick up Pred, Envoy for Hook? I think either option is going to work well. I don't know if bringing back Dan when the players like Drazah are out there and Dante. I just think if you're Optic, you got to make a decision of, are you going to commit to the Dan Ghosty project and let him develop? Or do you want to try and get someone who's got a little bit more experience, maybe a little bit more upside out there? It's kind of a difficult thing. I don't know if this kind of combination of Pred Ghosty is sort of the best moves that Optic can make in this window. I kind of see the logic. I think Pred's a potential possibility. I don't know about Dan. It's been kind of slow in the chatter as regards to Optic and Dan, and I would be curious if they're thinking about bringing him back. We got Elite coming in with a fun one about LA Thieves, CleanX or Insight going to LA Thieves. I've heard this rumor a lot. I think it took a lot of momentum earlier on this week, but as time has gone on, I don't really know if this is the direction that LA Thieves is kind of thinking about. It would be really good to try and get one of those Toronto players to kind of commit to your rebuild, but I just don't know how likely this is, and I think the Toronto situation is kind of very much in flux right now. All right, so we got my guy Ant from the rotation with a bunch of takes. Let's take a look at this. Let's see how off base he is. So London, he has Nasty, Era, Afro, Harry, and Bent. Sure. I mean, I don't think Ben should sign himself up for that team. Mark as a coach would be really interesting, but I don't know, man. We'll get to London later on. There's another comment about London, but whatever. Toronto, Scrappy, Insight, CleanX, and Envoy would be interesting, but I don't think Envoy's going to Toronto. Optic, Dashy, Shotzi, Pred, Drazah. Makes sense. The Miami Heretics team, that's the rumored team. We haven't heard much about it since like the spring, so curious what's going on there. On Thieves, they have Kenny coming back with Hook, Cammy, and Ghosty. Ooh, I don't know if I like this team. I feel like you've like not a very consistent sub duo on this team, and I think the like floor is super low with that squad, so I don't really like it for Thieves. CL Search, Big Wake, Slasher, Standy, and Mac with a Booza sub. That would be a really good potential team for Seattle. I like the Standy Mac potential duo with Big Wake and Austin. Austin's gonna need to do a lot of work with that team, though. I think everybody outside of Mac is kind of a rogue player. So especially for Big Wake and Standy, I think Austin would need to do a lot of work to kind of get them going where they need to go. Minnesota, bringing back Goddard, attach Fame and Real. I don't know if Minnesota is gonna run back like a version of their team they had in a player they had 3 or 4 years ago. Like, I don't see it. Celium, Simp, Abizi, and Sib on Atlanta FaZe. Possible. Dante coming back. He was a sub at one point for Atlanta FaZe during Cold War. This would be an interesting team, and I can definitely see it happening. We got LA Gorillas. I don't know why it's in quotes. Why is it in quotes? Illy, RC's, Gwyn, and Yeez. That'd be an interesting squad. I like that. Investing in youth. RC's Illy duo, but okay. Boston Breach, Clayster, Beans, Hixie, Snoopy, and Kremp. So some combination of those players will be the 4. I think Boston can do a little bit better, but I like the thinking there. New York running it back with their same squad, so no changes there. And then we're just throwing up a random Vegas squad here with players. Yeah. That's just a trolley. So some predictions on here, some are faded. I think my guy Ant did a decent job with this list. We got Zach with something that I've been saying a little bit on my stream yesterday. My take, Toronto aren't in actually in financial trouble and will sign a top SMG player to add to CleanX inside scrap. So Toronto's situation is interesting. A lot of upset people in their camp right now, and it's unclear what direction they want to go in. I don't think they're in like blow it up financial trouble, but I do think that there is going to be some changes this year. I could see them trying to keep the core of the team together, but I can also see them blowing up the team. So it's just very much 50-50 right now over in the Toronto world. And kind of in the similar boat, we got JC Weekly with a little bit of an Envoy take. If Envoy goes to Toronto and they keep inside in CleanX, and that team would be better than this past year's team. I think a team who squad-wide should pick up a full challengers team. Wobbobs come to mind. So I don't think a Wobbobs running it back is going to happen. They got top 6 at the last event. They were good online lands, a little bit, not so much at times, although I think they had a pretty good one at Major 5 in Toronto. I just don't know if someone's going to commit to picking up like a full French-Belgian team, but maybe. And now I'm going to Toronto and making their team better than last year's team. I mean, inside CleanX, Envoy, and like one would be a really good squad, but like, would it be better than last year's squad? I mean, last year's squad got runner-ups and champs. I don't know if that team 100% is like going to get there. So I think that's a little bit of a bold take, to be honest. I got Killzoid with a fun one. Vegas Legion taking champs next year. That guy's Laos POV is wild. Sure, man. Sure. We'll move on. We'll move on from now on. That's a good prediction. All right, we got Zenster quote retweeting a tweet that he had a couple of days ago. Ben, I think it's time for them to run it back in the CDL. And his take is, hear me out. Slasher lands on Rocker, reunites with Looney. I mean, they did team together on Rise Nation back in World War II. And they pick up Guns and pick up TJ. The Rise roster runs it back in the CDL. Oh, man. Can you imagine if this happened? I think this is so unlikely. I just think the Austin Pierce era duo is very interesting. I don't know, though. I think, like, you're going to have so many strong personalities on a team. I don't know if it would work. It'd be interesting, and I like the thinking. It's very outside the box to an extent. But nah, I don't see this happening at all. All right, we got my guy Sackman. Another Envoy take. The Envoy to Toronto thing is normal for top FAs. Fielding offers and leveraging them. I still think he goes to Optic. He has a choice. I agree with Sackman here. I don't really see Envoy going to Toronto. I think it's more of a third kind of option for him. I think he's still sort of waiting on what Optic and FaZe want to do. But I'm not surprised he's taking the meeting. I just think, to Sack's point, I think he's using it as leverage to, you know, force the issue with Optic and FaZe, who I think have a chance to sign him for sure. All right, we got Declan coming in here with a little bit of a long one. I think Rostermania will result in the same league outcome as past 2 years. 4 different teams will win a chip, with one team figuring out at the end of the year and going back to back. The scene is at a point now where there can no longer be super teams able to win 3+ events a season. Yeah, but like, didn't New York win 3 events this year? Like what? I get it though. I just think having someone have like a Cold War phase type season or Optic Dynasty or COL is obviously very difficult. I think there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of parity. I don't know if this next year will play as much as same as last year, especially if we're playing on a similar game with the same engine. I mean, we haven't yet learned a lot about the new game, but like, I could see teams going on little mini runs this year. We got to know a little bit more about the format as well, like how many events we have, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with this take, to be honest. Boba Fett 316. Optic buyout scrap, and the team will be Dashy, Scrap, Shotzi, and Pred. Can you imagine if this team happened? That would be probably one of the best skilled teams Optic has had in a long time. I like it if it happens. It would be a sick squad. I don't know if Optic's going to buy out Scrap, though. Again, don't know if Scrap's even available to be bought out. And I figure if that's the case, his price is going to be quite expensive. All right, we got Jack Marsh GG from GG Recon. London's recruitment of EU players has been abysmal over the years. That is facts. And a relocation would be the best thing for them, but not for Europe players. Agreed with pretty much all fronts in this. London's had a couple of decent years. When I say decent, like in Modern Warfare 2019 and in Vanguard, like their teams were good, but I don't think they were winning an event, making a grand final good. They were like, we can get 3rd and 4th, and they did place those occasionally good. And I don't know what their aspirational goal is, but London needs a big rethink this offseason. Last year was a mess, and that strategy of a leftovers team is just not going to cut it. Again, I think they really need to hone in on a new strategy. I think picking up a full challengers team might be a smart way to go down it. All right, we got Polska. Question to you for a video. What's your opinion on Dashy Sib Duo going into next season? If it was to happen, do you think they would complement each other's well? I like the duo. I think you would have a lot of unpredictability in search because both players can play the island player and snipe. I just think the only thing with that duo, even though I like the flexibility in search, is this would be a situation where Dante's got to really step it up in the game mode. I think it's still like the one area of weakness in this game. I think he's a decent search player, but he's not a great search player. And if you want to get on one of these teams and play well, you got to be an elite search player That is the bare minimum. But as far as like respawn goes, I think that duo can be really good. I think Dante would need to kind of play a little bit quicker than he normally plays on Seattle, but I think he's capable of doing it. I like that potential duo and the possibility for Optic. All right, we got 2 more left. New York Subliners Daily. CleanX and Insight would be the best duo Optic can get. So the idea is Dashy, Insight, CleanX, and Shotzzy. I don't know. I don't like the Insight Dashy duo. First off, if it's a 3-sub game, like, you have a real problem. Bruce has got to run a sub, or Jamie's going to run a sub, and I just don't think that's going to really put them apart from some of the other teams that are going to have like a really good 3rd sub option. So I mentioned I like the CleanX Insight duo, and that duo was really good this year. They won an event. They got runners up at champs. They've been a good duo for a number of years. On Optic, no. I don't think that's the right play. All right, last one is from Carson Marchbanks. If Optic misses out on Pred, they fumbled the bag. Him and Shotzzy playstyles would go perfect together in 2. Fire emojis to high. Cone in on and the take. Listen, I've been trying to kind of talk about this for a while, and I think some people were in denial every time I bring this up in my stream the last 6 months. I think Pred is good, but if they get like Envoy over Pred, I don't think they fumbled the bag. I just don't think there's a horribly wrong choice between the two, and it comes down to the fit, what the players want to do, how is it going to work well in the system. And I think if you're Optic, look, Envoy is someone that, you know, if you are, say, Bruce, you've teamed with before, and he didn't play bad when you teamed with him, and he got dropped. And we're talking about when Huntsman and Empire merged to form Optic Texas. It was a situation, or Optic Chicago rather. It was a situation where, you know, Envoy just got kind of unlucky, just how things went down. So I'm not surprised if they want to get Envoy over Pred. I've heard they're definitely interested in both. I don't think they would fumble the bag if they go with a different option, especially if it's Envoy. Now, if we're picking up like a different option of the two, maybe we have a different conversation here. But if the choice between Envoy and Pred, I think either option is fine for Optic. All right, that'll do it for this video. I appreciate everybody that sent in your comments and takes. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them. Otherwise, this would be like an hour-long video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. Some more Rostermania stuff coming up on the next couple of days. I'm going to do a couple of team preview stuff this weekend. If any news pops up, we'll do a video as well. We'll cover that. As always, guys, we will see you on the next one.